It's a funny squeaky sound.
You couldn't hear a dump truck driving through a nitroglycerin plant.
Shh. I hear it too. Sounds like episode 314 of the Retro Rewind podcast.
Retro systems online. Reflux capacitor fluxing. Scanning movie space-time for National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, 1989. Rewinding in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome, Rewinders and new listeners, to the Retro Rewind podcast, where we take a fresh look at movies and games from 15 or more years ago. I'm your captain of the pod, Francisco Ruiz, and I'm joined by your XO and mine, Paul, the Paul J. Powers of Christmas.com Powers.
Save the neck for me, Clark.
Sure, Eddie. And in addition to Paul, we are glad to have back aboard for our film, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, Administration Officer of the Pod, Ashley Ruiz. Hey, Ashley.
Hi, guys. Thanks for having me back.
Of course. Always a pleasure to have you back. And speaking of people who are back, we're also glad to have back Archives Officer of the Pod, Drew Dodgen. Hey, Drew.
Can I refill your eggnog there, Roy? Perhaps drive you out to the middle of nowhere and leave you for dead?
My name ain't Roy.
It's not Roy. How dare you? No, you can't refill my eggnog because I don't like eggnog. So
I've never had it. So.
I do. I'll take your fill of it, but I'm not gonna spike it. It's just gonna be the store-bought
Isn't
stuff.
it always like alcoholic usually?
No.
Oh, really?
The stuff they sell non-alcoholic eggnog in the stores and people spike it. It's usually spiked with rum.
Okay. Interesting.
I don't like spiked eggnog. I just like straight up eggnog.
Well, now that we've had our spirited conversation, see what I did there? Because it's, hey, it's gold, Jerry, gold. Anyway, now they have a quick flyby of who we are. Paul, can you give us a quick overview of the production specs for National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation?
Sure. The Dog Who Saved Christmas Vacation.
The Junk. Paul.
Released November 28th.
Paul, that's not the movie. That's not the movie.
What?
Give me a Wintermas present and give me the specs for National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. The one
National
written by
Lampoon's.
Listen
to the cast of this: Mario Lopez, Dean Cain, Paris Hilton. I mean, that's classic B-rated stuff right there.
What in the world movie is that?
It sounds like a rough and good time.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it's The Dog Who Saved Chris. All right, fine, never mind.
I think I've seen that movie.
I hope not. It's not that good. All right. National Lampoon's Vacation.
No. Christmas Vacation.
That could have been brought to my attention yesterday.
If only we planned these a year in advance.
If only. National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. Is that it?
Yes, thank you.
And here I was afraid you were going to say European.
Not two. The first one.
And not just Vacation. The one with like the grown-up rusty. Oh crap! Exactly. I watched the wrong movie.
Oh no!
Wouldn't that be an episode of The Big Bang Theory?
All right. National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, December 1st, 1989.
Yes, thank you.
We got there. It's a Christmas miracle.
Oh my.
It runs an hour and 37 minutes, rated PG-13. It was directed by Jeremiah Hess S. Boy, let me try this again. Jeremiah
S. Hit this. See, I can't talk either.
Chechik. Sounds like a gun loading. Chechik. Anyway.
Clayton. It's the sound of a gunshot.
Written by legendary John Hughes. And was the lead stars being Chevy Chase, Beverly D'Angelo, Juliette Lewis, Randy Quaid, and a few others you may or may not recognize. And the music was composed by Angelo Badalamenti. Close enough.
Yeah,
Are you ready for the box office trivia?
I'm ready. Ashley and Drew, are you guys ready?
See.
Yep, first.
And everyone in chat, you're welcome to join as well. Go for it, Paul.
Okay, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, the first one, was made for about $25 million and earned around $73 million at the box office.
Well done.
Given this fact, how high in the box office do you think it ranks among the movies released theatrically in 1989? We'll go for the top 50.
Top 50. All right. Let's start with Ashley. What is your guess for where this was in the top 89 movies?
Always putting me on the spot. Good movies came out in 89. If I'm not mistaken, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade came out in 1989. Yep. And that's a much better movie, but that's neither here nor there. If you're saying,
it was also number one, so you got anyone from after that is fine.
So I am just gonna go with my good old age because it made some money, but I don't think it would have been enough to break in the top 25. I could be wrong. I've been wrong before. 38.
38. All right. Drew, what is your guess?
Did you say what month it came out?
December.
Yes.
December
1st.
Okay, so it had a month. I'm going to go 25.
25. Rushmore in chat also guesses 25. I am going to guess my age of 22.
22 times 2. Okay. -1. So 43. Cool. You're being a little pessimistic here, Captain.
Paul, where did it end up?
A pessimistic? Is that where you were mystic, but in the past?
Exactly.
Pessimistic, yes. Pessimistic.
Where did it actually end up, Paul?
According to the-numbers.com, it came in at 19.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
So I believe the captain snuck that in there.
That's high praise.
Because I'm so young, yet so wise. So
no.
Yeah, I think we'll go with that.
Wise, sure, but with wisdom, it comes with age.
What? No.
Just be glad you're not Pinocchio or your nose would be longer.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Might have to get a hacksaw.
Or a chainsaw.
Or Otis.
Something like that.
Exactly. Otis was last time, Paul. Anyway, thank you for those factoids, Paul. And let's see if any of them factor into our memory mind meld or subsequent roundtable discussion, which we'll get into once Alice has located our target film.
Alert. Target located. Spoilers incoming. Establishing analysis vector.
There's nothing like the warmth of the holidays.
Can I take something out for you?
And this season, it'll be a perfect Christmas.
Merry Christmas!
Thanks to Chevy Chase.
That thing had 9 lives. She just spent them all.
National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, rated PG-13. Starts Friday, December 1st at a theater near you.
Indeed. At theater near you. And we got to look at the lights, guys. But do we remember lights? Do we remember Christmas? What do we remember? Let's find out in our memory mind meld synopsis for National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
Don't do that to me.
Griswold and company need their perfect family Christmas tree, so they go out into the wilderness and pull it out of the ground. Dusty Bottoms, oh my gosh, is putting it in a pool, or he will once his bonus comes in. So in the meantime, he uses a sled that has so little friction, he sleds like a rocket, but doesn't hurt himself. Yuppie couple gets their fancy stereo destroyed by, I don't know, Margot. A cigar mishap leads to the family Christmas tree catching fire. The family finally gets their Christmas lights working and become Jelly of the Month Club members. That leads to Clark losing it and kidnapping his boss. A second cigar mishap leads to a craptastic explosion, and the entire Griswold family is saluting their country and is singing the Star Spangled Banner. Merry Christmas and Happy Birthday, America. I mean, a lot of that was right on the money, but some of it was deceptive. Like Clark didn't actually go and kidnap his boss.
No, he's not a kidnapper. Yeah, that was somebody else.
Yes, indeed.
That was Eddie.
But based on those memories, as flawed as they were, what reign did they lead you to predict for this movie before you rewatched it this recently? And when did you first watch this movie? Let's go around and I'll start with Drew this time. When did you first see this movie, and what was your prediction of classic nostalgia and tragic?
When did I first see this movie? Because it's been a long, long time ago.
Yep.
Probably like early 90s.
Okay.
So, but yeah, this is a Christmas classic for me.
So classic. All right. Ashley, how about you?
Well, I was spared from having seen this movie until adulthood. I remember seeing it in Blockbuster many a time, just seeing the cover and going, that looks dumb. I'm not going to rent that. So I never did. And I didn't actually see this gem of a movie until you had me watch it about a year or two ago. And
Good job, Francisco.
I really wasn't the greatest fan of it upon the first watching. Didn't really have many expectations of that changing. So prior to rewatching, I rated it tragic.
Tragic. Okay. Paul, how about you?
I severely doubt I watched this in the theater if it came out in '89 because I was in Germany at the time.
Batman. Oh.
I was about to say we were lucky if we saw Batman.
Yeah.
Which we didn't. Because the video came out the video came out sooner to us than the movie.
Oh wow, really
over there.
Weird. Okay.
But anyways, it was probably shortly thereafter. Probably a few years after, like Drew, in probably early 90s. And I think it's only been a few years that I have not watched this every Christmas since.
Oh wow. Okay.
So this kind of goes against our rules that we set up for movies review.
I think we've said goodbye to those long ago.
Basically, all the rules have been thrown out for what we review and what we haven't. So, but anyways, for me, I was going to predict it a classic, but I also through those years I've run into people like Ashley who didn't care for it. So actually, my official prediction was nostalgic.
Oh, okay. All right. That makes sense. For me, I probably saw this. I really don't remember, but it's one of those movies that my parents would have on for the Christmas season every so often. So I probably saw it like in the 90s at some point. I don't have a firm memory of it, but I remember liking it, but not enough to be like, oh, I always want to see this. I mean, I mainly just wanted to watch it with Ashley a couple years ago because I hadn't seen it in so long, and she hadn't seen it. So I'm like, oh, let's watch this. But I still predicted nostalgic. Like I think it'd probably be fun to rewatch, but it's not like, oh my gosh, go and see this movie now. But it'll be interesting to see if those predictions come true. But first, let's get into the things we liked most about National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. Alice?
Best bits.
All right, and let's begin with Ashley. What's one thing you liked about this film?
So watching this film, well, there were things I was struggling to find that I actually did like. I will say I really did enjoy the dynamics of the family, of the Griswold family. Clark and his children and his wife and his in-laws and his own parents and even to his cousin-in-law. I felt like the family had a really balanced dynamic, and there were even times watching this movie, I'm like, gee, this is making me remember all of the Christmases that I had with my family. And, even though this family is a little more dysfunctional than like most traditional families, like it still had a really sweet dynamic. Just seeing Clark with his niece, Ruby Sue, in the kitchen saying like Santa's going to come, and him wanting to help Eddie and like make sure that the kids have a special Christmas, and making sure that he was complimenting his wife's cousin and her cooking, even though that turkey just went poof. He was still so kind, and it was a really sweet family, and I love to just see like they could be sweet yet sassy with one another, and they were sarcastic, and it was just really fun to see a large extended family together during the holidays. So I feel like it was a great representation of that.
It is interesting how sweet and how sour these people are.
Yeah, it definitely got like that full range of the dynamics because it showed them in so many different lights. It was so much more believable than like a Hallmark family Christmas movie, which is just saccharine sweet, and you're just like, ugh. This felt more real and grounded.
I think also because of that, this leads me into one of my likes is. I guess I'm sure someone else has made this term or made this portmanteau, but this movie felt so nostalgic Christmas. I don't know.
I get it.
Okay, good. See, because I'm combining nostalgic and Christmas.
You're trying.
Yeah, you explaining it helps it. Sure.
Good.
Yes.
I'm glad. But what I mean by that is everything about this movie felt like I was in the Christmases of my youth. There's just something about it, some quality, even though I didn't grow up, some of my Christmases, we had snow and whatnot when I was in Colorado, but
lucky,
but not a ton. But still, even though that wasn't like my experience every year, it's still so much about it just felt so just like my Christmases growing up. And I don't know why exactly. So I think that element of this movie, and I think some of it was because the family was just, it felt such like a real family dynamic with different people having different quibbles, some people getting along well, some people not. It's just really great. So, so that's something I liked. Let's go to Drew next. What's something you enjoyed about National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation?
I enjoyed the fact the animated opening sequence of this. Probably entirely too much.
Really?
That makes one of us.
Actually makes two of us, because that's also my first like. Continue, Drew.
I miss good opening sequences both in movies and television.
Here.
And then this is like not just a good opening sequence. This is like watching a Looney Tunes cartoon before the movie.
Exactly.
Like from back in the day. It's funny to watch. It's the credits aren't boring to pay attention to. I know how much Paul hates white text on black backgrounds, and this is as far from that as you can possibly get.
True.
Yes.
Without just being a reverse of black text on a white background.
But why can't he seem to do anything right? He's done all these houses up until this point, and now he's just like, I can't get this bag down the chimney.
The ineptness about to come later in the movie.
It was foreshadowing.
It has been a long night for old Saint Nick. He's tired, and as always, there's always that one house that just is never going to work right, and that's what it happened to be. What I'm assuming, the Griswolds.
Yes,
property damage.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of property damage.
I don't know. So. The Santa Claus taught me that there's magic that Santa Claus has to get through all these. The Santa Claus, exactly.
Okay. So, you go of all the Christmas specials, you're going to pick one that's the ultimate truth, and that's the one you pick? Okay.
You go with the one that was my second movie to see in a theater?
Yes.
Anyway, I also liked it. I totally agree. The intro, I thoroughly enjoyed it. Yeah, it reminded me of those shorts that you'd watch before a movie. Get right into it. And it also has that great song in the beginning. So, it's great. And also with the music, this movie also introduced, at least for me, that song. I copied, like, if you go to, here's a hint, if you go to the end credits, you can copy the song, hook up your tape player next to the stereo, hit record. As a kid, that's what I did to get the song add it to my Christmas list, my playlist.
Yeah.
But this also introduced me to Ray Charles's Spirit of Christmas that came on while he was watching the old movies.
Christmas is the time of year.
Oh, okay.
I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
So all these great songs. I mean, who can forget this classic?
Dang it!
So,
wow.
The intro, the first part of the cartoon, it began a list of great songs also in this movie.
All right. So the intro was your guys' both your next like. Paul, give us another one. What's something else you like though?
This was also my classic maker, but I'm going to say the humor is my number 2.
Okay.
And there was not only a lot of funny lines, quotable lines, but also there's a lot of physical slapstick humor, which I appreciate. Mm-hmm. So having the combo of both throughout the film, I thought was great.
Okay. Yeah, I could totally see that, Paul. Ashley, did the comedy make your like list, or was there something else that really appealed to you?
It was actually something else completely.
Okay.
So I thought just the underlying theme of Clark just trying to make this be the best Christmas ever for his family, for his in-laws, for his nieces and nephews, his cousin-in-laws. Like, I just thought it was just sweet, the intent that he had trying to make it memorable and best, and really just all the lengths that he went to try to make this the best. And I feel like it does factor in a lot of that comedy that Paul is talking about. Just think of all the effort that Clark put forth, stringing up the lights and all the antics that went along with it. I didn't find it funny, but someone sure did. But just thinking the lengths that this man went to get this big old Christmas tree for his house to decorate it. When the tree burns down, he goes and gets another one. He's got lights that can light up an entire city and blind people's eyes. But just the lengths that he went, even offering to buy presents for Eddie's children and just really go above and beyond to make Christmas special and wanting everybody under the same roof and just having this big united front. And I can remember Christmases back in the day when I was a kid, like going over to my grandparents' house and everybody from my dad's side of the family, we all lived in the same town. So cousins, aunts, uncles, everybody coming together and having this special magical Christmas. And it definitely felt that way, especially like even with Clark watching those old movies and just looking fondly back on the Christmases that his parents had for him and his extended family, and him wanting to capture that magic for his family in this current season. So I don't know, just his desire. And even though it didn't always go according to plan and there were antics ensuing in the midst of it, it was just such a sweet theme to see in a overly comedic movie, to just have a heart to it. It was really nice.
Yeah. And I think that what's interesting is for me, I don't know if it necessarily punctuated his heart toward everyone.
That would hurt.
That would hurt, yes. Not puncture his heart, punctuated. But all of Chevy Chase's facial expressions throughout, they're just so like, there's like
animated
joy and frustration and rage.
He's expressive. He's sadness. So expressive.
He's so expressive. Yeah, and I don't recall that.
He's actually very like his expressions are almost cartoonish like, but also like his movements as well. Like it takes like as he's like, okay, most people when they step on floorboards know how to avoid it so it doesn't pop up. Yeah. But he is able to physically do it in a way that it sells it that he's having struggling with it.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah. He's very physically gifted in that way to be able to convey these different things.
Physical comedy for sure.
It's weird because watching this just made me want to watch Three Amigos again because Steve Martin has so much of that. And
another movie I haven't seen.
I'm very curious what you'll think of Three Amigos.
I don't know that you want me to.
I do.
Yeah, I suspect it's not good.
Oh, come on. El Guapo, it's great. And it's plethora.
It's just a comedic version of Magnificent Seven.
Haven't seen that either.
/ Seven Samurai.
Nope, haven't seen that either.
Drew, why don't you tell us about this movie you did watch and something you liked about it?
I loved all the bits of continuity that they threw in here that they didn't have to, but it's nice to see. Everything from like when he's watching the old home videos, despite the fact we have not been introduced to these characters yet by this point, you actually can see
Uncle Lewis and Aunt Bethany
in there, which is an awesome little tidbit. And then you've got when after Eddie shows up and Eddie and Clark are in the living room drinking eggnog. They're drinking out of Wally World glasses from the first Vacation film. And it's all these little things all throughout us. Like that amount of detail I just appreciate because it means it feels like they actually cared enough to keep it within the franchise and not just do whatever.
Those moose glasses they found just happened to be at like a thrift store one day and they picked it up.
Oh wow! I'll say
why they couldn't keep the same kids movie to movie, I don't know, but
I think that's also a running gag now.
Maybe
I haven't seen any other National Lampoon movie. This is the only one
because this
I've
is
seen.
the best.
Okay, well, fine.
I've seen a couple
of the Vacation films. You watch Vacation and Christmas Vacation, and you don't watch any of the others.
Okay, but I'm just saying, even not having that backstory, I don't feel like it detracts, but probably just adds to people that have seen.
But it's I appreciate actually keeping it within a world.
Yeah, exactly.
Which they didn't have to do. Those did not have to be Wally-shaped glasses they drank eggnog out of. But it was. Yeah. They didn't have to show people who Cousin Lewis or Uncle Lewis and Aunt Bethany, but they did. They didn't have to, but they did, and I appreciate that level of detail.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Now that we've gone through all our likes, let's get into our classic makers, guys. The things we liked most about National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. I'm going to start with Ashley first. What did you love most about this film?
Chevy Chase as Clark Griswold, just lovable dad,
Yeah.
enduring so much chaos and just havoc, trying to make Christmas special for his whole family. I love the scene when he's in the attic and he is watching the old home movies, and he's got the turban on and he's got the gloves on and he's just sitting there all peacefully, and then his wife comes home and he just drops down and oh man, just all the everything that he goes through just to make Christmas special. And I mean, like, you can everybody has a family member like that who wants to do something wonderful, but nothing ever goes according to plan. And I feel like he's just a well-rounded character. Like he is a little bit of an everyman, and you can see like a dad wanting to go above and beyond and make Christmas special. I think of all the times that my dad would just string oodles and oodles of lights on the house, or put lights on our big, like 30-foot pine tree in our front yard that he had planted from a seedling.
I thought you had like a 30-foot tree in your house. I'm like,
no,
what?
Absolutely not. We didn't have that high ceiling.
That is a Griswold family Christmas tree.
Yeah, that would be a Griswold family Christmas tree for sure. But I just find it incredibly believable, and he's just so darn likable, even though like there's some slip ups and I don't like everything that he does. It's just really sweet to see he cares about his family, he cares about making the holiday special, and you know, it's just, he's relatable in so many different ways. It's just like, I can think of like, yeah, I want Christmas to be special. I want to do things. They might not go according to plan. I don't think I'll have to endure as much antics as he did. But I feel like Chevy Chase is Clark Griswold. He is great. And I thought he was one of the best parts of this entire movie.
Absolutely. Well said. Well said. But does Drew think something else was the better part of this movie?
I like how fully infused with Christmas this film is. I know that seems weird for a movie called Christmas Vacation, but this feels like every experience with Christmas just exaggerated a lot. Granted, I've never had a squirrel find its way into the living room and
but my family has
have a dog nearly just chase that squirrel all the way around and hawk up bones after getting into the garbage and all that, or frying a cat underneath a lounge chair. But I mean, that family Christmas of everyone coming together and trying to have a good time, and obviously there's stress and the comedy of errors that comes from that is, I don't know. I just love the Christmassiness of the film. How full it is. It's like this was the beginning of my Christmas this year. So,
that's awesome.
So, no matter what I just said, I just posted on Facebook.
Do you usually? Well, here's a quick sort of aside question: when do you guys put your Christmas tree up during the year? So,
Black Friday.
Black Friday for Drew. Okay, Paul.
Well, we have a fake tree, so we can put it up. I don't understand these people that put up real trees on November 1st. I don't know how they can't last that long.
I have an artificial pre-lit tree.
But even if you put it up on the day after Black Friday, I don't think it would last that long. But that's when we do.
Yeah.
Typically, that's what I'll say this. That's what we aim for.
Sure.
Sometimes it happens. Yeah. Sometimes it's like a couple days before Christmas or anywhere in between.
Yeah. Admittedly, for the here in my apartment, it goes up before the first December episode of the podcast.
Okay.
I will say this. It's funny that you ask that question, because growing up in the 80s, our family wasn't well off, and there were Christmas tree lots open on December 24th. And that's when my family would get the tree, because they were so far discounted or they were free. They were trying to get rid of them. So a lot of times growing up until about the age, I forget when, but most of my childhood, if not all of it, we got the tree. Actually, I remember it's when we moved to Germany in 87. So anyway, all all those years, we got a tree December, the day before Christmas, and then we went to sleep, and then Santa would decorate the tree and put gifts under it that night.
Oh, that's cool. Wow. Crazy. And Ashley, how about you?
Well, it was always the day after Thanksgiving in our house because with Halloween happening at the end of October, November would get Thanksgiving, and it would always irk us when we would see Christmas anything go up immediately after Halloween. It's like, no, take a pause, celebrate Thanksgiving, and just wait. And
hey, what do you think about podcasts recording Christmas shows before Thanksgiving?
It's different.
Yes,
it's different because you're getting it done ahead of time in preparation for releasing in time for Christmas.
Okay.
It is different than decorating. Decorating is welcoming in the Christmas season, and it's a celebration of its own. So it was always the day after Thanksgiving in my house growing up, and it's still very much like that here. And me and Womp Queen agree. Day after Thanksgiving, fight me, anybody who wants to. I will play Brandon Heath's The Day After Thanksgiving and play that song and make you listen to it, and you will understand my pain.
I'll say if I had my druthers.
Well, at least it's not Mariah Carey.
Oh, no. She can stay frozen until Christmas Eve.
I'll say if I had my druthers, I'd put up the tree Halloween night, but that apparently doesn't fly here.
That's not going to fly in La Casa Ruiz. Husband, if you want a happy wife and a happy
Celebrating
house.
Christ over the devil? Why not?
I mean, we celebrate
Apparently
Jesus 365, but
Apparently, Francisco loves the idea that inspired The Nightmare Before Christmas. So
No, I don't at all. I like having the tree up. It's so pretty to look at.
well,
But
considering that you've got this piece of history, this fiber optic Christmas tree that you've had for pretty much as long as you've known Paul.
yeah, pretty much.
That tree is older than both children's ages combined.
It's my firstborn.
It is your firstborn. It's double digits at this point, isn't it? Like 20 something.
Yeah, it must be. I think I got in like 2002. So
When I was in high
20
school.
years.
good
Cool.
night. How do you keep a tree that long?
and it's on the same bulb, the original bulb. It's still going.
That sounds like a fire
It's
It does sound like a
hazard.
fire hazard.
It's
Very
the
much could be.
menorah of Christmas trees.
Sure.
Good
Sure.
night. I've lost trees faster than that to rats.
What can I say? But
Where were we?
that's where we're.
Christmas tree.
Christmas trees.
Christmas tree.
Classic makers.
Classic makers. Let's go to Paul next. What's your classic maker for this film?
Probably the thing that I like best about National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation and why I think it separates itself from the other National Lampoon vacation movies is that it is just such a well-told story.
Oh.
And the pacing is great because it starts off relatively small and it builds. Like, what?
Continue. I'm just over here.
So, like,
grimacing.
for example, at the beginning, like the first quarter, it's just Clark, his wife, his kids, and a coworker, his work area. But then 20 or so minutes later, the in-laws come. So you have 4 more people introduced. About the 45-minute mark, Cousin Eddie and his wife, their 2 kids, and their dog, who gets his own scene, is introduced. Later, after that, about 15, 20 minutes later, that you get Uncle Lewis, Aunt Bethany, and their cat is introduced. And by the end of the movie, not only do you have Mr. Shirley, the boss, his wife, but you also have an entire police squad. I mean, it just keeps building and building, and you're not confused. Like, who are these? You know who is who and what's going on.
Because they took the time.
A well-told story of antics building and building and building, along with, like I said, humor sprinkled all through it. That it incorporates, like what Drew said, the Christmas everything. It's just so well packaged and put together that I I put it as my classic maker. It's a well-told story to include all that.
Gotcha.
It really is like a well-orchestrated piece. It just keeps building by adding more instruments, characters, and it just keeps becoming a little bit bigger until the grand finale.
And it doesn't feel like it's happening too fast or overwhelming, like as a whole. Like little pieces are over the top here and there, sure, but as a whole, it doesn't feel like okay.
Here's where I'll comment on that. I'd say I agree with about 25% of that, but that 25% I agree with is my classic maker. The last 30 minutes of this movie, I feel like just takes off. Everything escalates so in such hilarity for me. I thought that was when I was laughing the most. That I was getting so much enjoyment in that last 30 minutes. So good job to that. The rest I'll comment later, but so those are our classic makers for National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. The things we liked, but you know what? There's probably some things we didn't like so much about this movie, and we gotta get to those too. So
wait, isn't there more you like? This is a great movie. Isn't there more you like?
You always forget stuff, you know.
Guys,
you hadn't forgotten something?
No, thank you. Yes, I'm looking at my notes. Of course, I forgot something else, and that would be the Untold Podcast. The Untold Podcast is a speculative fiction podcast utilizing the genres of sci-fi, fantasy, and horror, among others, in order to engage the culture's imagination from a Christian worldview. Every month, Nathan James Norman produces and narrates a new story presented in a unique and dynamic way. Check out the Untold Podcast at www.untoldpodcast.com to listen and leave them a review on Apple Podcasts.
Oh, that's great. Was the Untold Podcast in the last 30 minutes of this film or something?
Yeah, you didn't see it, Paul? You didn't hear
no. I've seen this movie about 20 plus times. I've never seen the Untold Podcast.
So I guess you just gotta listen more carefully. I don't know what to tell you. I guess it's so untold you don't notice it.
Yeah, no one told me.
Okay, fine. You know what? Either. Cat's out of the bag. There's nothing about Untold in this movie.
Burned under the couch too.
Yes, that's true.
Oh no.
How about some trivia about National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, though?
Yes.
Oh, yes. Much better, please.
Did you all realize the scene where the cat, this is very apropos, the cat bit the Christmas lights cord and got electrocuted was nearly cut from the movie? Prior to the first test screening, the studio executives wanted the scene taken out, fearing that it might offend some viewers. But producer Matty Simmons begged them to leave the scene in, and they eventually gave in to his request. After the first test screening, the test audience scored the cat electrocution scene as their number one favorite scene throughout the entire movie.
Oh my.
Such an odd choice.
Yeah.
My question to you guys is, what type of gag do you always seem to find funny in movies? Let's begin with Paul.
For me, it's usually the slapstick humor. I don't know why. It's not like pies in the face. I never thought it was funny. The getting hit in the groin is not something that I find hilarious, but some of these falls or some of these wacky and physical antics besides that, that's my kind of gag that I find funny.
So a lot of the type of slapstick you see in this movie, essentially.
Some of it, yeah.
Okay. How about you, Drew?
I love watching lovable idiots.
Okay. All right.
Because they're like just trying. Well, I'm thinking in the case of this movie, Cousin Eddie.
Because especially
there at the end, he is just trying to do what he thinks Clark really wants. Unfortunately, it's not what Clark really wanted, no matter how angry he was. But I mean, it's just that idiot just trying to do their best and screwing up the entire time. So I find that hilarious. I don't know why.
Yeah.
And you
now, if they're idiots and they're not lovable, then I don't care.
Oh, well, all right. Fair enough. How about you, Ashley?
I tend to like physical comedy when something repeats a multitude of times.
Oh, okay.
Like I
running
think,
gag.
Yeah, running gags with like Clark and the floorboards. The best example that I have of like a repeat action that happens again and again and again is on The Simpsons with Sideshow Bob and rakes. And he just keeps stepping on one rake, he gets hit in the face, and then he takes one step, and then he gets hit in the... When it's executed well, that for me tends to be so incredibly funny. And yes, there were a couple of repeat antics here and there, but the floorboards was one of the few times I remember smiling and giggling a little bit because, most of it didn't appeal to me.
I heard you laughing at other times.
I know, but that is one part I can think of being like, that's fun.
Okay. Very fun, very fun.
Great trivia, Francisco.
Thank you, Paul.
And now that we've all had some trivial fun, let's find out what memories you, the Rad Rewinders, had about National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
Let's do it. So Patrick Edwards says every single line. That's amazing. So I want to see a one-man performance of this movie by you, Patrick, since you know every single line.
Well,
Hey,
he
Patrick,
says he
what's the
remembers it.
51st line?
It doesn't mean that he could perform every single line.
You know, that's fair. Those are two distinct abilities.
Yeah.
So
Could you do it?
I remember
Mr.
every
One-Man
line of...
Show?
What?
If I remembered every line, maybe.
I can remember every line of Clue, but I wouldn't be able to recite it. Anyway.
Yes, there is. Wait, no, there is, or no, there isn't. Yes.
Yes. Oh. Anyway, Celeste Morris says, and the rocket's red glare. She says, Grace, she's dead, Jim.
Jeff Eames says, saying grace, I pledge allegiance to the flag. Clark, worse. How could things get any worse? Take a look around, Helen. Or Ellen, whoever your name is. We're at the threshold of hell.
You
couldn't hear a dump truck driving through a nitroglycerin plant.
There you go. Who Will Say Generation X podcast says, what do I remember? I don't know, Paul, Margot. And then he leaves a clip with...
And why is the carpet all wet, Todd?
I don't know, Margot.
Thank you for playing that, Paul.
Oh, those two.
And thank you all for sharing your memories of National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. And much like, Juliette Louise Dreyfus and the other guy were probably upset with the Griswolds, maybe there's some things we are upset about this movie. So let's get into the things we didn't like so much about this film.
Worst woos.
Let's begin with Ashley. What's one thing you didn't like about this film? I know there's not much.
1,000 things you don't like about this film. Go.
I can cull it and limit it to the two in my Tragic Maker. That's easy.
Okay.
One thing that I did not like was just how much tension there was with all the antics that Clark and his family kept enduring. I think of that beginning scene where when they're driving to go get their tree and they're stuck underneath that logging truck. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. Yeah. I am like sitting there and I'm like, this is making me so uncomfortable. It's just so... I don't like it. It makes me uncomfy. I don't like it when Clark is setting up the lights and he's climbing up the ladder and he's falling down and he's trying to hang on for dear life to his tree. I'm like, I can feel my heart trying to like escape my chest because I'm so nervous for this guy. I think of everything that's happening when he's in the attic and he like partially falls through to the bunk beds through the ceiling, and how when he's sitting there watching the movie at the home movies in the attic and then his wife comes back, pulls out, and he just falls down. There's so much tension, and I'm just like, this is supposed to be a comedy. I know that some of these things are supposed to be funny for people, but he is suffering and I can't laugh at it because I'm like,
yeah, how is he not in a body bag by the end of this?
I feel like he should be in a full body cast.
Because he's Wile E. Coyote. This is a cartoon. We've already discussed how he's a
live-action cartoon.
I understand that, but he's a person, and I know that Chevy Chase is all about physical comedy, but there's a difference between physical comedy and physical abuse. And this was
signed
just
up for it.
Far too much tension for me in certain scenes. It wasn't constant, but there were enough scenes in this movie where I felt my blood pressure on the rise.
Sure.
So it means that you were connecting to the characters. That's a good
you were
thing.
empathetic.
Yeah.
Sure, guys. Sure. Well, what weren't you so empathetic about, Drew?
The sled scene. This is like my most hated scene in the whole film.
What?
I wonder if it's for the same reason as mine, but go ahead.
Yeah, I have something to comment on this same scene too, but
I know it's not. It didn't make my list. It's further down.
Right.
Yeah.
No, this is the scene I dread seeing come up because I know what's going to happen. I mean, first off, he after he shoves off and he goes Mach speed down the first part of this hill, and then all of a sudden, when he's obviously being filmed in front of a rear projection screen, he's going at like normal sled speed. It's like,
that's for me the difference.
This is the same thing for me.
At Mach speed, and now you're going as the speed people normally sled at, and it just keeps going. If it was still moving at the same speed, I would be okay with it.
Yeah,
but it just keeps going and all the way into that Walmart parking lot, and I'm sitting there going, there is no way. I don't care how good this anti-friction coating thing he put on the bottom of this is. There's no way that thing is still good enough that it can slide across the entire Walmart parking lot.
Sure. It's cartoon. It's way over.
And I get it, but the cartoon is immediately broken when he goes back to normal speed after shooting down the first part of that mountain.
That bothers me so much as well. I mean, and here's the thing. I get that they couldn't film him going like that speed, and that's sort of just a gag seeing it go that fast. But give me Return of the Jedi speeder bike speed at least.
They could have put that image in the rear projector at like 4 times speed, and it would have been fine.
Yes, exactly.
But also, like going through the camp and everything would need to be faster too.
Well, then make it faster.
Nope.
Or at least give us a decent reason why let it slow down until you get to the camp.
Yeah, it actually goes fast. It goes slow through the camp and then slower into the roads. And then it speeds up into the Walmart parking lot.
I guess that's the only way you get across that Walmart parking lot in the time it gives you.
Actually, you're shaking your head.
I'm just like, no, there was just too much tension for me to like questioning the physics and velocity in which this sled operates. I'm just like,
the main reason I question the physics here is because there's not a lot of physics problems with the rest of the movie, but it's like none of that I ever read. I'm not questioning. I don't have to.
Sense.
I can follow logic in the other scenes. This one, it's like, could you have a consistent speed, please?
Clearly not.
Fair. All right, so that was me and Drew's dislike. Paul, you said that was lower down on your list. So what was one of the things you disliked about this film?
You know what? I'll go. This was my number 2, but I'll start it off.
Okay.
The scene that bothers me the most because of the physicality.
Okay.
Is when Clark is stuck in the attic and he falls through the roof,
and he doesn't just get down through it
onto the bunk bed.
Yeah,
and he's up to his knees on the bunk bed when he falls through. He could just
shimmy down.
Hands down to warm his hands, but he could just crawl right through.
Yeah,
gosh. Because the only way that wouldn't have worked, you couldn't have used that top bunk anyway.
Right. And then, if you want him to fall through a little bit so he couldn't fall, don't have him land on the bunk bed or put a bunch of stuff on. I don't know.
Yeah.
And so that's the scene physically that bothered me the most. Gotcha. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Ashley, let's go back to you. What's something that didn't make sense for you? So much.
Cousin Eddie. Ugh.
Oh, he's great.
No.
He's the best part of this
Here's
film.
the thing. I find him hilarious. I do find him funny, but I can probably understand why Ashley doesn't like him.
No.
Once he's introduced, the real movie begins.
That is not how I beg to differ. Agree to disagree. And I don't like Cousin Eddie. He's a disgusting freeloader. He unloads his toilet from his camper into the sewer. That snotty dog is disgusting. The fact that he thinks kidnapping is okay because Clark basically asked for it. Him just going to Walmart with him and just loading things into the car. It's like, oh, it's no big deal that you buy this for me. Showing up unannounced. He's just super creepy. And the fact that he just shows up on Christmas and doesn't care to tell anybody about it. And
he's not one for charity, though.
Yeah, not one for charity. Just like,
it's not charity, it's family.
It pretty much, yeah. No, I can't stand him. He makes me feel uncomfortable. Like he's someone's creepy uncle. And he really is. I know, but like I feel like Randy Quaid does it just a little too well. And I feel like you are supposed to get those vibes. Like everybody's got a creepy family member somewhere. Everybody's got like some degree of Eddie, maybe not like exactly.
If I don't know who in my family that is, does that mean it's me?
That's usually how that works. But I'm saying
it depends, Paul. Have you been out of a job for 17 years because you can't find something in management?
Yeah, you're looking for management, but you don't actually have any skills to prove that you could hack it.
No comment.
But no, I can't stand Eddie. I can't stand his snotty dog. It's a cute dog, but it's like, really, you can't train your dog well enough to have it stop drinking the water. So the Christmas tree is so dry, it just takes one little and it goes and your dog is so adamant on chasing after that squirrel. It's just so much havoc is wreaked because of Cousin Eddie. Mm-hmm. It's just too much for me. And those poor kids.
I'm right with you, Ashley. Eddie is my next dislike. I hate this character so much.
And where is he getting all these leisure suits? It's like he never left the 70s. Hello, it's 1989. He got
them in the 70s.
I mean,
yeah, I know, but he thinks they're timeless. So
and that
some weirdo in a leisure suit.
And that horrible.
He's the Uncle Rico of this film.
Oh, I hate Uncle Rico. I hate that movie. I hate Uncle Rico. And I think I hate Eddie just a little bit more than Rico. Although they both give me sketchy family member vibes. And it's just like, if I ever met the equivalent in my family of Cousin Eddie, I don't know who that is in my family. I'm not going to take time to figure it out. But you better know that we'd be in probably different houses. Yeah. Be like, get out of my house, Eddie.
Ashley, I'm going to make a suggestion for you. Don't watch Vacation.
I have no desire to. I have absolutely no desire to see any more.
I don't think you would enjoy it based on your thoughts on this
movies. Film. I've seen a handful of other National Lampoon movies outside of the Vacation franchise, and those were super duper weird. And I don't think I'd ever go back and revisit. But this is probably the only one that I'd ever revisit if I ever considered it.
Gotcha. Just for clarification, Drew, when you say Vacation, are you talking about the non-Chevy Chase one?
The original Chevy Chase one.
Okay, National. The first one.
Because honestly, I don't suggest watching the others to anybody.
Yeah.
Because they're not that good.
I agree.
Bravo says, get Ashley a Christmas sweater with #hater on it.
No, I needed to say I made the haterade.
Oh my gosh.
Seriously, just like, I'll make that.
Ugly Christmas sweater with a Gatorade thing on it, but it says haterade.
Exactly. That's what it needs to be.
But yeah, I'm right there with you with Cousin Eddie. Ashley, I did not like his character at all. But Paul, what's something you didn't like at all? Maybe your first dislike since you did your second first or something.
Bothers me is so minute, but I don't know why it gets on my skin, because everything about this movie, the production quality is great. I mean, the sceneries, the scenes, everything is great. But
let me guess. You make your friend watch a 4K version through their horrible internet connection. That's what you hate about this. You know what? I can agree with you.
You know what? That was number 6 on my list. Thanks for bringing it up. No. Okay, and like I said, I don't think anyone else would ever notice this, but
I'm curious.
Okay, they bring in the first tree. It catches on fire.
Yes.
So he replaces it with a tree from the front lawn.
Yeah.
Once that tree is brought into the house, it is a fake tree.
Yes.
All the needles are the same length. It is if you ever look for it, unfortunately, once you see it, you cannot unsee it.
Oh.
It's like whenever they're looking for the squirrel and everything in that tree, it's a fake tree. And everything else is real. Yeah. Why not go the extra, get a real tree?
Yeah, I don't know.
When you actually get that close up of the squirrel when they see it, that is a fake tree.
Yeah.
I think the squirrel is fake in some scenes also.
In some scenes.
It is.
Oh, funny thing on that.
It's done in a way that it doesn't stand out that much.
Yeah. What were you going to say, Paul?
I was about to say the funny thing on that is while they were filming for 3 months, they were training a live squirrel, to be chased by the dog.
I remember this.
And when it comes to filming it, they say we got bad news. They're like, what? Well, the squirrel's dead. Boys, why? What happened? I say, well, squirrels just don't live that long. Sorry.
Wow.
That poor squirrel.
All right. Then that leaves Drew. What's one last thing you just like before we get to our tragic makers? Cousin Eddie. Okay, good.
No,
I'm glad we have a three-peat.
It's not Cousin Eddie. It's, well, I mean, it could be, but it's not. Because he is annoying. No. What?
That's right, Paul.
He can be annoying. He's funny, but he can be annoying.
You're half right.
Okay, so halfway through this film, Cousin Eddie does empty the black water tank of that RV into the storm sewer.
So
we know that gas is there until the very end of the film because that's what blasts the
reindeer up.
The reindeer, the Santa Claus up into the sky.
Is that also what causes the tree to light on fire like gas?
That's just because the tree's dry.
But there's a big burst to the side.
He's lit his stogie.
Called funny.
But
that's because it's a cartoon.
Yes, that's the humor. Everything is exaggerated.
I'm hating this movie even more now. Jeez Louise. I thought it was like the fumes, but I'm like, okay, why are the fumes in the house?
I've heard that before, but no, it can't be the fumes because it doesn't cause any damage to the house.
Yeah, that house would have exploded
if it was that. No, but we know that, like I said, we know that gas is there all the way to the end of the film because it launches the reindeer decorations up in the sky at the end. You're telling me nobody has been smelling that smell?
No, they're inside. It's cold outside.
I don't care.
Well, the neighbor smelled it. He went right back in.
But the Griswolds aren't acting like they're smelling it, despite the fact they should be smelling it while they're eating dinner. I don't know. Maybe Cousin Eddie smells worse than the toilet does. But it just bugs me. It's like I'm sitting there watching, going, everybody should be covering their noses while they walk up this front walk.
Yeah.
Right now.
Agreed.
Because it's going to smell that bad.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Worse than driving your car into a pile of manure.
Yeah.
I don't care how good that chemical toilet is. It's not going to be that good.
Maybe it's covered in hyocaine powder, that it's odorless and all that stuff.
Dissolves instantly in liquid.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to work quite that well. But
what worked so not well and made our tragic makers?
I was wondering how you're going to...
Whatever, Paul. I can't do this every time.
No, you landed it. I was wondering how you did it. Good job.
It's a bumpy landed, but we got there. All right. So I'm going to start tragic makers. Sort of alluded to this before. This movie takes so long to get going. And yes, there are little sprinkles of comedy throughout, but it is a slog. And it's punctuated the most. Apparently, punctuated is the word of the podcast today. For me, anyway. The whole scene with him in the department store, I guess, I don't know if it's a Macy's or whatever, with the saleswoman. And that just goes on so long, and it's not funny at all, at least to me. Maybe it's to someone, but I am just like, could we? The only funny part is where his kid, Big Bang Theory guy, comes and says, he's like, high on the hip, Rusty, huh? And he's like, yeah, sure, Dad. And he's like mortified that his son has caught him, but it's just like, can we not? Because this is just dragging your movie down more.
Yeah. What do you say, nipple?
Yeah, it's like, that's not funny. It's not funny to me, but.
It's funnier in Liar, Liar.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes.
What? There's a scene where they do it well.
Oh, that's because you got big boobs.
Jim Carrey does.
Your boobs are huge. I'm squeezing.
You're telling me.
The elevator scene?
Yes, so
You're
much
telling me
better.
That goes
Jim
better
Carrey can
for
pull
me.
this off than Chevy Chase. I'm actually fine with this.
That scene is also like a third length of it.
Exactly.
The pacing was perfect. The delivery, it was punchy. It was one and done.
Yes.
And I feel like you make a good point there, because
Thank you.
Those scenes, if they're done right, they're going to be over quick and they're going to be memorable, because the person delivered and it was like an instant delivery. It wasn't like waiting and waiting. And
Exactly.
waiting.
Yeah, in the 80s, things were a little slower, but
And the whole part in the attic, while sweet, he takes forever to like move around and get the stuff to warm up, and then he's sitting there with watching the things, and that's a sweet moment. I wish that would have coalesced a lot faster, but yeah. So I don't know, this movie takes, I feel like, too long to get to the end, where the end is great. This is like Jurassic Park part 2 right now. Is like this, and this isn't a factor of me seeing it too many times. It's just the first part, first
them
2/3,
like them driving underneath the road, the truck going.
Yeah,
to get, like,
I don't need.
That's not fat. That's not action enough for you. Okay.
No, I mean,
it's too Final Destination for him.
Why there's no impetus for these people to like tailgate them and then get in front of them, and it's just like, why?
It's drama.
But there's nothing causing it.
So that you're not bored.
Too late.
Yeah, too late. All right, so that is my tragic maker. Let's go.
So the department store scene is your tragic maker.
Yeah, well, the slowness of the first 2/3 of the movie is my tragic maker, but it's punctuated by the department store scene. Yes.
Okay,
that's
like it
that's
all
an
moves slowly, and that's the
encapsulation.
scene that moves the most slowly. To
Yes,
you.
exactly.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay,
great summary. Drew, summarize for us your tragic maker.
This movie has one of my pet peeves in it.
Okay.
Ooh.
Things that I hate for no matter how it's used, so you can't do it well, in my opinion. And that is little children cussing. I cannot stand little children
She said
cussing.
bricks. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you know what she said. You know what she said. And that's just a thing that annoys me. And it's,
okay.
To me, it is the worst thing about it, because it's that was one of the scenes that was when I originally watched this, it was the edited for TV version.
I want to see that version.
It was because that's what was on TV for many years. I didn't see the uncut version not until I was I was out of high school.
And I don't mean today's TV version where they keep most of the language in there now. But
this is the stuff where they edited. I don't remember exactly how this worked. Maybe they changed it to crapping. I don't know.
Yeah,
but it didn't.
Pooping.
Maybe. But
all right, pooping.
Saying that word is not something a little kid should say, especially when they're acting all sweet. I get why people find it funny. I don't, because I feel it is just so wrong to me for little kids to be cussing, and it gets worse the worse the language is for me. But it's thankfully not as bad here as it could have been, but it still annoys me enough that it made my tragic maker.
Yeah, it didn't affect me, but I have a weird threshold for things that bother me. I mean, when they don't kill the dogs, I'm like, what the junk? Come on.
Right.
Let's have steaks.
Oh, by the way, Francisco, you'll be happy that National Lampoon in their movies have a tradition of killing at least one animal.
Oh, good. Okay, that helps. Let me. So my rain was on the downswing, but that's now going on. I'm kidding, everyone. I enjoy animals. I just hate that movies are precious about them sometimes. All right. So
that's Vacation in Francisco.
What'd you say, Drew?
I said you might enjoy Vacation in Francisco.
Oh my gosh.
That poor dog behind that car.
Yeah.
Let's see. Ashley, what's the thing you hate most about this film?
Just how over the top so many antics were, from the tree just disintegrating with one big poof.
Yeah.
To the turkey taking off the lid and it going
Yeah.
That's
to
part of the fun.
An icicle going through the neighbor's window and destroying their stereo and melting. And why is the carpet wet, Todd? I don't know, Margot.
No,
to the explosion from the sewer, to even the police and SWAT team just randomly entering the house. You wouldn't have that many people, and you wouldn't be entering through that many different locales in the house. It's ridiculous. Yes, he's been kidnapped, but you don't need someone who looks like they've come from a Broadway production of SWAT to come into your house and just break all the windows for the sake of breaking them. And then the squirrel scene and the dog chasing and just the exploding cat. I don't know. It's too much for
exaggerated.
me. It is exaggerated. And I know that National Lampoon, like, this is what it's known for. It's larger than life comedy, these high stakes things that happen. But for me, it's just like, no, sorry.
Ashley, I got a question. Do you like Looney Tunes?
Not really. No.
This explains a lot.
Yeah.
I think it would. I think
I don't really care for Looney Tunes that much
I draw
either.
the line at like Wile E. Coyote, but
I like Wile E. Yeah.
I like him
Those
falling.
are the bland ones anyway.
Yeah, and I think that would explain a lot. No, I'm not a huge Looney Tunes fan. I enjoyed the first Space Jam because I was 10 when it came out, but no, I've never been a major Looney Tunes fan. So I think that would explain why I don't like so much of this over the top antics. And usually when any kind of media, any kind of movie, when it's like too over the top, I'm just like, you can have like a few moments of this, but if you're having an over the top antic every like 10 minutes, I just can't. Why am I watching this movie? Oh yeah,
because it's fun.
My husband wanted me to, and I volunteered myself here, but that's what I get.
Indeed.
I'm sorry that you have to keep watching these Looney Tunes-esque films, Ashley.
It's better than Oh, Brother, Where Art Thou?
Indeed.
Ooh, I will disagree with you there.
That was worse. That was so much worse.
But
Not
hey,
touching that with a 10-foot pole.
it's no thief in the cobbler. Yeah. So.
Oh, I saw that too, and that was probably.
I was about to say, if you're talking, night, that's also pretty bad.
Y'all know next Bad Movie Month on the Cellcast, there's a chance that movie could be coming up again.
Why? Why would you do that?
Because we haven't done it on our show yet.
Well, why would you? It's so bad. But why would you subject yourself to that?
Anyway,
go on that episode.
let's end with Paul. What's your tragic maker? Not for any of these other movies, but for National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
You know, and I'm also about to play the prude card because yes, I know when I put it on, I know this is coming, but so take this with a grain of salt.
Okay,
but my prude card is in another area, and that's the language.
Okay.
Like kind of what Drew was saying with the kids, for me, it's also the adults because I find this funny, but it makes it hard to quote it for someone like me who doesn't use that language.
Oh, sure.
I agree with that actually.
And so it becomes less quotable for me. I have to edit thing, or even like maybe clips I would play for this podcast, but I can't, or they're edited or whatever.
Yeah.
So I think that's why I said earlier, I would love to see the TV version edit of this because I think it would play just as funny without that.
You know what? Sometimes I wish there were that the special features would be like that edit, like they would include the made for TV or made for airplane edits of movies. Yeah. I mean, I don't know why not. It's available.
For the 1% of the population.
What's sad is we know that there's like versions of these still stored at the studios of every different version of this film.
Yeah.
That they've done for a number of reasons. Even the old formatted to fit this screen 4x3 nonsense.
Right.
Pen and scan. All right. So that's very fair, Paul. I appreciate all your guys' inputs into things you liked, things you didn't like.
True about that prude thing. That pool scene, Eddie. Ugh.
Oh, right.
Salt in my eyes.
The leopard print with the t-shirt thing tucked into it.
I would like to point out that I kind of repressed that memory.
Yeah. Understandable.
If we're all going to suffer, we're going to suffer together.
No. But now that we've entered all our suffering, firing trajectories into the targeting computer, Alice, do you have a firing solution for us?
Firing solution complete. Rating salvo armed and ready to fire on your mark.
All right. Do we rate National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, a classic. We'd recommend anyone go see this, whether or not you've seen it before. A nostalgic, it's worth rewatching again if you've enjoyed it in the past and you're looking for a Christmas movie. Yeah, watch this again. You'll have fun. But if you've never seen it before, pass this one by. Or do we rate it a tragic? It's not worth anyone's time today. If you've never seen it before, definitely keep it that way. And if you have seen it before, don't sully any good memories you might have of it with a rewatch. Let's begin with our guest as we like to. Ashley, you had predicted tragic for this film. Where did it actually end up for you?
It actually ended up being nostalgic.
Oh, really?
I can definitely understand why people like this movie and why it is considered a must-watch on so many different holiday movie lists. I get it. I can see the appeal. I can see that this movie is not for me, but it is clearly for like our generation, the people that grew up in the 80s and
Gen Xers
90s.
Like me, yeah.
No, you're not Gen X. I'm sorry. I will not
People that
die.
grew up on Looney Tunes? Yeah.
Yeah, people that like Looney Tunes, who might like the slapstick, who might like the over-the-top antics, fans of Chevy Chase, just, it appeals to somebody. It's just not me.
Okay.
And, you know, people who grew up with it, they're going to have a fondness for it, the quotability, just the over-the-topness, just everything that happens. So it is for somebody. It's just not for me. And I don't think that not everything in this movie is terrible enough to label it tragic and say, even if you liked it, just forget about it. So I will begrudgingly give it a nostalgic.
Okay.
And it actually was a little bit better on the second watch.
Oh, cool. Okay.
The first watch was jarring. I kind of knew what was coming this go around. And it was a little less painful watching. I don't know that you could get me to do it a third time. But for people that love it, they can keep it that way and keep watching this movie every holiday season.
Very fair. Thank you, Ashley. So nostalgic for you. Drew, you had predicted classic. Where did it end up for you?
I am going to keep it at classic.
Okay.
All right.
But if I were to put this on a much grander scale, I would like to say this is one of the lowest rated classics I think I have.
So tragic. Okay.
It's still
put
classic,
tragic.
but I mean, it is.
Tragic? All right. I don't know.
No.
I don't know why you didn't say just
Roy,
tragic to begin with, but
My name ain't Roy.
I'll make you eat your dog food.
wow.
It's right on
No,
the back.
I just say this is so stinking close to the line of nostalgic that it's like being in Alaska and seeing Russia. It's that close.
Okay.
To being
Right.
nostalgic, but it is still classic for me. Just
Still classic for you.
barely classic.
Just barely. All right. Okay.
There are other Christmas movies that I rate far higher.
Maggie's Christmas Carol for me. Love
It's
it.
not a movie.
I don't care.
Maggie's Christmas Carol?
I said
Yes,
Mickey.
Maggie's
Oh.
Christmas
I said
Carol. The
Mickey's
beloved
Christmas
Maggie's
Carol.
Christmas.
The
Sorry,
26
this hurt,
minute
okay.
short. I mean, everyone's got different definition as to what qualifies as a movie. Yes, it's a short, but that is
And I'm-
classic to me. I don't watch that every year.
Sorry to
instead
be
of
a
this
stickler
movie.
on that, but yes, you're right.
I mean,
We've reviewed it as a movie on this podcast.
Yeah,
I mean,
and
if
Francisco
it was
would
on
say
our
you
show,
removed
we would-
you reviewed another movie as well. So Mickey's Christmas Carol. I'll watch that every Christmas when y'all watch this.
Maggie Mouse and Dimsdale Duck. Exactly, Baba.
Muppet Christmas Carol for me.
So
No.
before we get to me and Paul's rating, we like to we ask you, our awesome Reflexipastors, the people that make this time traveling podcast possible, with your support. How do you vote on the movies we cover on the podcast? And it seems like maybe none of you have seen this movie or not seen it soon enough to have voted. So we don't have a vote from you guys, but thank you for the support.
Two voted, so we
nonetheless.
don't have a vote?
No,
Did I hear that right?
We didn't have any votes.
Oh, zero
I mean, if
voted.
you give me a second, I can go vote right quick.
No,
and you
you
can have
can't.
something.
No.
Don't double dip.
Yeah, no double dipping. But we will get on with Paul's rating now. What did you rate
Get
this,
on
Paul?
with it.
You had predicted
Get on
this.
with it. Yes, get on with it.
For me, it would probably be a classic, but like Ashley, I'm going to vote nostalgic just because of all the others. I see it. So I'm going to hold to that nostalgic.
So let me double back real quick, and this is going to be for you as well, Paul. But Ashley and Paul, what Christmas movie would you rate higher than this? For Ashley, would it be Maggie's Christmas Carol for you?
I'm going to punch you. I just have to get out of frame and get over there. No, 1994 is The Santa Claus.
Oh,
that
yes.
is a Christmas classic.
Yes.
I absolutely adore that movie.
Hear, hear.
And I have nostalgia goggles for that because
You know what?
Because I was a kid. I was a kid in 1994.
Yeah.
And it was just, it had all of the magic of Christmas, and it was a family movie. There really wasn't any cursing. There wasn't really anything to be like, oh, I don't really like that movie for this reason, this reason, this. And I'm sure people can pick it apart if they really want to. But that captures the magic of Christmas for me, and that is a must watch for pretty much everybody.
Yeah.
Unless they hate Disney. And even you like that movie.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. What were you going to say, Paul?
I was about to say, let's open that question up to everybody, because after all, it is Christmas. All right, you know the
It's a
phrase
Christmas
like,
miracle.
yeah, we got a bunch of them this episode for you. So you've heard people say, "Oh, it isn't Christmas till I've seen Hans Gruber fall off."
Yes, the Nakatomi Tower. Yes.
I need an advent calendar where he's just falling down. Like the
Oh, that'd be awesome! I'd like a tower and use every day.
Yeah, he falls down a
they have
floor.
that.
No, I've seen it. I'm sure we can make it. I will find it for you and I will show you, because I have seen someone actually do that, and I feel like that would be a great way to welcome in the Christmas season.
That's awesome.
Die Hard is a Christmas movie. I have seen it. That is a good one too.
Yes.
So for
my gosh,
everyone
Paul.
here, for you, what is your ultimate Christmas movie? Like, it isn't Christmas until you've seen.
Oh, I see. Gotcha.
fill in the
gotcha.
blank.
Mickey's Christmas Carol and or the Santa Claus, if you want to just only count traditional length movies.
Okay, that's fair.
If we're choosing doubles, I'll go with Muppet Christmas Carol and A Christmas Story.
Oh,
Okay.
Never saw it.
well,
I
Francisco's
can
thinking
quote A Christmas Story.
for
let
for
me
me,
think.
it's probably one you haven't seen either. Most people haven't. For me, it's not Christmas for me until I see Albert Finney as Ebenezer Scrooge in the movie Scrooge from 1970.
Oh, I do like Scrooge
I
with
like
Bill
Albert
Murray.
Finney. I like Albert Finney. I would probably go watch that movie.
It's a musical, so it's
Ooh, I'd probably like that too.
You know,
1970. Check that
I
out.
don't know if I necessarily have one where I would classify as I haven't experienced Christmas until I've watched this movie, because I don't think I ever I don't think I have a movie
It's
like
not
that.
Christmas until my tree is up and the
After Halloween.
music of the Peanuts is playing.
Yeah, Christmas time is here. No, but I guess the one that comes closest, Santa Claus would be it, but just to pick something a little different than that. I really...
No, stay with the Santa Claus. You totally want to be in cahoots with me.
Well, I am, but I'm just picking something else for other people.
Oh, boo hit.
I really enjoy, and this only half works, but Lion the Witch in the Wardrobe,
Which version?
the Disney version. I know, but I really appreciate. I think
Francisco, do yourself a favor and just call it the Walden Media version.
The Year Without a Santa Claus. It's not Christmas until I watch that movie.
I actually haven't seen that movie.
I love that movie. It's so
But,
fun.
Oh,
It's a
that's
TV
the Rankin
special.
Bask.
Yeah, it's a TV
the-
special. That's where the Miser
claymation
Brothers
one.
and those terrible songs come from. But yeah, that's super fun.
Bobo, just because it's the Disney version doesn't make it a Christmas miracle. But yeah, I feel
I mean,
like
Francisco does like some Disney stuff. It's just none of the new stuff.
It's a very short list.
anyway, I feel like Lion the Witch in the Wardrobe works great as a Christmas movie and as an Easter movie. So I like it for how it plays both those domains.
The duality of Jesus Lion.
Exactly.
It's the birth and the resurrection.
Exactly.
All in a 24-hour period.
Anyway, so that leaves Christmas Carol and It's a Wonderful Life, Breger. Those are good ones, except for It's a Wonderful Life. But we won't
which
go there.
Christmas Carol? It's not like is it the 2009 Jim Carrey weird CG version?
But yeah, that's a good
of
point.
Christmas
I'm not sure.
Carol
You can't
is-
just say, the problem with A Christmas Carol is it's a genre in and of itself because of how many times that story's been adapted.
I don't know if you call it a genre, but
Mickey's Christmas Carol is an adaptation of A Christmas Carol, yeah. And then you've got the 2009 version.
Yeah.
And
you got the
there's
Robert
so many
Zemeckis version.
Yeah, there's so many different iterations of it. It's just like,
Muppets.
ugh, I hate Muppets Christmas Carol. I made it 5 minutes through and turned it off.
I'm just saying.
There goes Mrs. Humbug.
Humbug indeed.
There goes.
No
George C.
Muppets.
Scott says we go.
Okay, I've never.
That's my wife's
seen,
favorite as well.
I've never
the
seen that
1984
one.
version.
So many things I'm missing out on.
So
but no Muppets Christmas Carol in this house.
So we are missing out on my rating for National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. We have nostalgic from Ashley, classic from Drew, nostalgic from Paul, and for me, I'm going to rate it nostalgic as well. It's not like the best movie ever. We just went around and said which ones we would prefer, but I still find plenty of it funny and fun. Yeah, especially that last 30 minutes. So maybe I'll just watch that every year as my own San Francisco Christmas special. The last 30 minutes of National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
Christmas Vacation, Francisco Ruiz cut.
Yeah, exactly.
Last 30 minutes.
Which starts right as Uncle Lewis and Aunt Bethany are getting.
Yeah, like, essentially, you just need December 24th. That's all you need of the movie.
I'm fairly certain that was the elevator pitch for this movie.
But according to the Retro Rewind podcast, we rate National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation a disputed nostalgic film. We recommend it. If you've seen it before, go watch it again. If you haven't seen it before, go watch something else this Christmas season. But now it's time to get back to our own time. Good old 20XX.
20XX?
Calm sat online, awaiting incoming transmissions.
20X mess.
Feels good to be back, but we wouldn't have been able to travel back to 1989 to begin with if it weren't for our amazing reflux capacitors, namely Deborah Powers, Geek Devotions, Drew of the Cellcast, you're right here. Ashley Ruiz, you're here too. Kennethan, Fabulous Lomax, That's Our Baba, D. Tungsten, Mr. Lost, Daryl Hafner, Cool Deluxe, Dustin He's a Big Deal Warford, Flux, Redeemed Otaku, in addition to 2 other awesome patrons as well. Thank you all so much for keeping the gigawatts coming, and if you want to help keep us flying and get bonus content for your generosity, head over to retrorewindpodcast.com/support to start.
I tried to steal the Who's Christmas, but do you know what went wrong? Their Christmas, like the stream, was sponsored by PaulJPowers.com.
Say, Francisco, are there any free ways to support the show?
On the freeway.
Yeah, are there any ways that doesn't empty the bank account if it's kind of low to help support the show?
Actually, Paul, yes, there are. You probably enjoyed this episode if you made it this far. So if you aren't driving and on your way to, Christmas dinner or something, tap the share icon in your podcast player and send this episode to a friend saying, I know you like Christmas Vacation or National Lampoon movies, so I thought you'd like this podcast on it.
Cool. And I'll bet they'll thank you for it.
I bet they will.
And speaking of thanking people, we want to give a big Christmas hug to Ashley and Drew, even though we're recording it before Thanksgiving. You can edit that part out too if you want, or keep it in. But mainly for sharing their thoughts about National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. And since we like to go alphabetically, we're going to throw that out this time. And we're going to do ladies first. Ashley.
Well, A
Ashley
still comes
does come before
D.
Drew, so...
Thanks for explaining the joke.
Oh my gosh.
Ashley, what did you think of, not what did you think of the show? You already told us what you thought. Is there anything cool you got going online if you want to be found online? And if so, where can people find you?
Yeah, folks can find me over on Twitter at Ashley Ruiz 1186. Find me, tweet about all things faith and fandom every November, which is National Gratitude Month. I tweet every single day about all the different things that I'm grateful for. So if you are ever struggling and you just want a reminder of the different things that you can be reminded of that you're grateful for in your own life, why don't you take a look over there? I do it every single November. So when this episode finally does drop sometime in the Christmas season, you'll have plenty of gentle reminders of what things that you can be grateful for in your own life.
Indeed. Cool. Thank you for being here, Ashley.
Yes. And Drew, where can people find you online? And is there anything cool you got going on that people should know about?
Well, you can find me at the Cellcast, a podcast where we review animated movies and television shows. At the moment, we are going through Miyazaki and Ghibli month, and we are getting dangerously close to actually completing that filmography.
Nice.
But we are, at least this Friday, recording our review of The Wind Rises with our very special guest, one Roy Ruiz.
Oh, nice. I wonder if he's any relation.
My name ain't Roy.
No, Francisco is going to be on the episode, and we are starting with that episode, our review, TAS review series on Batman the Animated Series.
Batman.
Cool.
Which also includes another episode, another Christmas special that tells me it's Christmas time when the Joker escapes from Arkham Asylum.
Very
and
awesome.
On Monday nights, I am streaming video games. I am almost finished with The Plucky Squire, and then I'm going to be starting Shadow Generations. So if you are interested in the Sonic the Hedgehog 3 movie, come watch me play through Shadows Past.
Oh, cool. Awesome. Thank you so much for being here, Drew. Really appreciate you. And yeah, thank you, Drew. Thank you, Ashley. Thank you to my awesome Christmas infused friend, Paul. Somehow he's Christmas infused. Don't ask me how. It's just science. And thank you to all you rewinders, new and old, for another fun voyage. We also want to thank Alutrick for enhancing our music. Find him at alutrick.bandcamp.com or youtube.com/@Alutrick. That's spelled ALLOOUTRICK, then the number 8266 for the YouTube. So thank you so much to him.
Thank you all indeed. And I am pauljpowers.com. You can find me and all my social media links at pauljpowers.com.
Yeah, and you can also, Paul, I don't know how long you're going to be doing it, but for now, and hopefully still when this episode is dropping, most weekdays from 4 to 5 p.m. Pacific, you could watch Paul drawing on Twitch at twitch.tv/pauljpowers.com. .com spelled out.
You can go to pauljpowers.com and click on the Twitch link.
Oh, or do that.
There.
But yeah, so if you want to see an awesome, chill art stream, check that out most every day.
Well, thank you, Francisco.
Yeah.
And where can people find you?
You can find me on our Discord for show announcements or just to say hi. Join us there at retrorewindpodcast.com/Discord and keep tabs on the board game I'm designing at junkyardjuggernauts.com.
This podcast is a proud member of Culture Box, a curated collection of podcasts, videos, and articles that will provide you a balanced meal of content. You will find culture celebrated for its past and future, satirized for its extremes, explored in study, and created anew in story. Point your web browser to culturebox.media.
As young Uncle Lewis said before he started smoking cigars, we are now part of the Culture Box Media Network. Find all the shows unpacking truth through story, comedy, and geekery at culturebox.media.
I might just do that.
Thank you, EXO, and thank you for listening. We pray you're more joyful today than when you first hit play. But like a Pokemon, we gotta catch you all for A Christmas Story, our next adventure in Wintermas on the Retro Rewind podcast.
You'll shoot your eye out, kid.
Retro Rewind mission complete. Proceed to base to await next mission.
If any of you are looking for any last-minute gift ideas for me, I have one. I like Frank Shirley, my boss, right here tonight. I want him brought from his happy holiday slumber over there on Melody Lane with all the other rich people, and I want him brought right here with a big ribbon on his head. And I want to look him straight in the eye, and I want to tell him what a cheap, lying, no-good, rotten, four-flushing, low-life, snake-licking, dirt-eating, inbred, overstuffed, ignorant, blood-sucking, dog-kissing, brainless, hopeless, heartless, bug-eyed, stiff-legged, spotty-lipped, worm-headed monkey he is. Hallelujah! Where's the Tylenol?